Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our quick publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to episode 333 of the Anfield Index podcast, in which I'm joined, for which I'm joined, at which I'm joined, and other prepositions about joining by Karl Coppack, by Lisa Marie Hanahan, and by Guy Drinkel, which is nice to have Guy on board for this week as well. Now, as a keen astrologer, Karl Coppack will know. Pause for effect there. Has he gotten furious? Yes, he's gotten furious. Excellent. Karl Coppack will know that 333 is an angel number, which signifies the discovery of a new path. And maybe someone out there might know that the number 333 is also quite significant in the occult world and to the Masons. In fact, the Albert Pike Lodge is number 333. If you ever fancy checking out the website, because people think they're real secretive, but you can actually go on a Freemason website if you're interested.
Am I on the wrong pod?
And what I find really fascinating about this particular number is that if you were to do a typical impression of an Irish person saying that particular number, it would probably be something like 333 be Jesus and be Gara. And that winds me up so much that I have decided that this week what I need to do, folks, is I need to give you a little tutorial, if you'll pardon the arrogance of such a thing, on Irish accents and why you're doing it wrong in most cases. So this is something I found on the internet, on YouTube. It's actually not bad. It's pretty straightforward and I think covers most of the bases. And what I'm trying to indicate is that there is a variety, there is nuance. In my county alone, there are at least 3 or 4 different types of accent that I can talk about, and there's quite a few counties in Ireland, as you may well be aware. So just for the benefit of public broadcast, as a sort of a service to the world of impersonations, because I'll never forget fellas doing really decent impersonation types doing Northern Irish accents when they were supposed to be imitating someone from the South. Here's this little chat. See what you make of it.
I think Ireland has to get something straight with the rest of the world, or maybe just Hollywood. You see, we don't all sound like leprechauns on acid. Thank you, Tom Cruise, Jared Butler, and Jesus have mercy on our soul, Julia Roberts. Ugh. There's actually a big difference if you're either from the north, south, east, or west of Ireland. Let's break it down and set this record straight. Are you listening, Roberts? Dublin is the capital, and the accent here was heavily influenced by the British occupation of Ireland for more than 800 years. What's odd is that for such a relatively small city, we have 2 very distinct accents, generally assigned to north and south side. On the north side, you'll hear people talking like this. Here the D replaces TH. So you get a lot of this, that, these, and those. And if there's a T at the end of a word, bleeding forget it. Venture south and they'll speak absolutely like this. The South Dublin resident is all about the O's and Oo's. Elongate those vowels like, like totally the opposite of the narrow sounds of the North Sider. Moving into the south, we come to the People's Republic of Cork, boy. For some weird reason, everyone here speaks a few octaves higher than the rest of the country, boy. It's a little bit forlorn and a little bit melodic, and every now and again, boy is thrown in for the crack. Fair play to you, boy. Now move down a bit and you're into West Cork, where it all gets a bit thicker and a bit faster. So. Then there's Kerry, and that is probably the jewel in the Irish accent crown. Not sure even Irish people understand this, unless they're from the kingdom itself. Sure, it's fast and it's furious. SH features even when it's not there, sure, doesn't it sound better for it, Limerick is more nasal and sharper on the ear, so you can tell you've left the kingdom far behind. You might get called a goal if you're acting the maggot or if you're langers. Now we're going way up north. I tell you, it's very different, especially in Belfast. Sure, the Scottish plantation of Ulster was so successful that it changed the way they speak forever. Now is pronounced now. I means yes, and a wee cracker is a beautiful girl, so it is. So this is how we sound, you know what I mean, bud? And it's a totes generalisation, But sure, it is what it is, boy. And it's only a broad guide from an Irish gal, But sure, we're only having the crack.
Now, I'm aware that Karl's come to visit this country, and Lisa Marie has been, and is talking about doing it again. So I just wanted to, give you a little bit of an insight into the various places you might wander and what the people will sound like there. And with that, welcome the astrologer of the show, Karl Coppack. How you doing, man? It is astrology, right?
Firstly, just going on. And
no, we've got a list.
There are several points to be made here. My uncle is David, and my mum, who's always lived in Liverpool, pronounces David. I don't think anyone else does that. I think that might be a slight Irish thing. I'm not sure.
It is an Irish thing. It is an Irish thing.
He's always David. We recorded this, Trev, on the 28th of July, Raymond Kennedy's birthday. And if it's your birthday today, firstly, happy birthday to us. And I bet you're all happy with yourselves for being a Leo and thinking, oh, I'm a Leo because I was born on the 28th of July. No, you were not. You were born under the star sign of Cancer. That's because all constellations, all zodiacal constellations, and they're very arbitrary, linked to never even mind behavior patterns, but just actual dates are all completely wrong and have been for thousands of years. Don't at me. I won't read your tweet.
Sounds like a Scorpio.
I am a Scorpio. I'm not a Sagittarius. As I'm supposed to be. I'm with Braintree as well, actually.
So am I not really an Aquarius? Is that what you're telling me?
What's your date of birth there?
26th of January.
You are Capricorn. Aquarius is February the 16th to the 11th of March.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I mean that is where the sun is in the constellation of Aquarius.
See? I'm shattered. I've always liked the age of the Aquarius.
Everything you know is wrong.
I know. I'm going to have to completely rethink my life.
Well, you have joined Jesus.
I don't have time for that right now.
You have joined Jesus in Capricorn. Well, here's the weird thing. So Braintree's only a few days younger than me. The sun on Braintree's birthday, which I won't share, was in the constellation of Ophiuchus, the sea serpent, which isn't even a zodiacal constellation.
You gotta love a bit of a fucus to get a show started, and I'm delighted that my poking of the bear there turned into something educational for us all. So thanks for that, Karl. And Lisa Marie, we've already heard from you a little bit here. How's your week been? How are you doing since we spoke last?
I'm going to talk about my holiday, but thanks.
Oh no, we're getting there.
Carry on.
You can't.
You carry on there, Trev. Yourself. There you go. Sure,
God Almighty, get out.
No, it's not for yourself now.
That's unbelievable.
That's why I've not been invited back on day trippers.
Jesus Christ. I'm literally, it's either Branch making alcoholic references or you doing fucking shite Irish accents. What is going on here?
You started an astrology, man.
I listen, pal. It's not my fault that Russell Grant is your hero. As I was saying, Lisa Marie, before we were rudely interrupted by Karl, who wants to dominate proceedings here.
Yeah.
How's your week, my friend?
Well, I've been down to one child this week, so it's been a little bit quiet around the Hanahan household. So the two boys have been off with their grandparents in South Carolina for the week, and so it's just been child number 3, and Mr. H and I. So yeah, it's been kind of nice.
And the
Less
cats.
fighting anyway.
You're perpetually unimpressed cats. That photo you put up of MC and the cat is just incredible.
Oh, I know.
Like,
well, and that one, she's always unimpressed. I mean, she's that's our Cece cat. She's not impressed by anything. So.
Yeah, she does not care. Fair play to her. I as you know, I can relate with this demon spawn that I have wandering.
Oh, you leave sweet Juno alone.
Demon spawn. So that brings us in our little early roundup here to Guy. Nice to have you with us, man. I will tell you for nothing that I appreciate your efforts immensely in doing those preseason Raws, because that's literally all I know about preseason is listening to you and your guests, which I did today again on the last match and for the previous ones as well. So heartfelt thanks for that. And I believe you're going to step into the breach again for the Community Shield, which we'll be talking about later on.
Maybe. Nobody else wants to bloody do it. Might just be me.
Well, look, I'll tell you what, I think as a bit of a dig out, if you can't get anyone, you can definitely count on me to come on as a panelist if you want. Anyway, Beautiful. That's just to let you know in advance. And I do know for a fact that you had a little bit of research for us in advance here. Your usual high art cinema recommendation. Do you want to throw that in here at the start of the program?
Yes.
Yeah, let's do that.
So we all know World War II. It was like busy and killy and stuff like that.
Yes, lovely.
Yeah, it's how I described it in GCSE history. Got a C, just so you know. Or B. I did all right in history. I like history. But this could have all changed if this, I presume, biographical film was true. So right. Today I'm going to introduce you to the film called Werewolves of the Third Reich.
Oh my God, wonderful.
Right.
Werewolves of Nazis, oh yes.
Yes. In Germany at the height of World War II, a ragtag of American soldiers discover Dr. Mengeler's diabolical plan to create an unstoppable army of Nazi werewolves. Yeah.
Absolutely magnificent. You know, I have played a video game, something like that, at one point. Fantastic. And do you have anything like the rating that this has received? Because oftentimes you'll have that information for us as well. I can only imagine it's going to be high.
Oh, it's certainly in the tens, yes. with a misplaced decimal point. But I have a tagline for you.
Oh, brilliant. Let's finish with that.
When the full moon rises, the war begins.
Of course it does.
And this was a 2.2 on IMDb.
Tremendous.
Or 22, as I should call
it. 2.2.
I can give you a little insight into the funding of this film when I tell you that it was written by Andrew Jones and also directed by Andrew Jones. I've got a feeling Andrew Jones may have rich parents.
Yes, I'd be very surprised if Andrew Jones didn't already also star in it and do the music.
Do you reckon he played Nazi zombies on COD one day and just went, werewolves?
Yeah.
The lead female character is Helga Hammerstein. Not that they've gone straight for the stereotype there.
No.
There's a character called Fighting Joe Kane, which of course reminds us of Steve Bruce's character. Was it Old Bill Maynard?
Yeah. Is there a platoon member who's red-haired and called Seamus and very very bolshy, who talks about the 33rd Brigade and Battalion?
Yeah.
I did watch the trailer for this, and there was there was a spoof.
Oh, there's a trailer.
Yeah. Oh God, yes. Go on IMDb. It's 2 minutes. It's 2 minutes of heaven. There is a spoof of the Inglourious Bastards basement scene with Michael Fassbender.
Yep.
And he has a knife pointed at his arse.
Oh my God. You've got to say that we bring the culture in this show in a very hefty fashion, and my God, we've opened with a bomb there.
Andrew Jones is described as a prolific filmmaker.
Prolific.
Yeah,
I think we can all read plenty into that.
That's beautiful. Yeah, it's
got a lot of shit done. In other words,
the Shane Long of filmmaking.
32 writing credits, including Bundy and the Green River Killer, The Curse of Robert the Doll, all your favourites. He's got a bit of a hang on. The Jonestown Haunting, A Killer Next Door, The Haunting of Margam Castle.
Is there a film in which lots of people don't die, for Christ's sake?
I know, right?
Not really. The Exorcism of Anna Eklund, Kill Kane, Poltergeist Activity, A Haunting at the Rectory, The Last House on Cemetery Lane, The Feral Generation.
This sounds like a gold mine.
Honestly, it really does.
It sounds like a film festival in Drinkel's house.
Yeah.
There's literally not one of those that I don't want to see. Literally not one of them, I have to say. So, before we drift too far...
AI Film Festival.
Yeah, exactly. I can see it coming. Before we drift too far from the stated mission of the Anfield Index podcast, when it began, which is to talk about Liverpool-related things, we should just have a little bit of a focus on that and see where it takes us, and we might finish then with a little bit of chat about Karl's holiday, which he wants to tell us something about. I hope it's a confessional story in which something happens. But I do want to say
word coup.
Fantastic. That's
military hunter is another 2 words you might want to think about.
That's what's called a teaser there for later on. Tremendous.
Come on.
It sounds like an Andrew Jones film. Coppack's Banana Republic story. I can't wait for this. So we should start with a little bit of a review of the preseason. And like I said early on, literally all I know about it is the goals by Darwin Núñez that were on Twitter the next day, and the podcast that Guy so heroically put out in the wake of those weird matches, especially that first one. And I know, Lisa Marie, you've caught bits and pieces, but because, Karl, you were out of the loop the last time, I didn't get a chance to talk to you. And we did mention when we were talking in the last one together that we haven't really been into pre-season, any of us contributing to the show. Did you get to see any of the games to date? And let's get a take from you immediately as well, because I do want to talk about the Community Shield, not because it's an important match, end of story, or a title, as Pep Guardiola would call it, but because of the significance of a match against Man City. So first of all, have you seen pre-season, Karl? And are you going to watch the game tomorrow? I think it is. Is it tomorrow? Saturday,
Sunday.
Saturday.
Yeah. I saw the goals. I saw the training ground goals he scored, which is good. I think the goalkeepers have been a bit suspect on some of them, to be honest, but goal's a goal. I'm happy with that. I am going to the Community Shield, and I'm not bothered about that either, to be honest. It'd be nice to beat them and sort of start with something. But I'm been in a match for a while. I've been in a match since the Wolves, whenever that was, last game of the season. So so I'm going literally just to reacquaint myself with my football club again.
Can I ask you, was it tough to get a ticket for the Community Shield?
I got one quite easily.
Yeah.
And I think there might be a few Spurs going around.
Yeah.
But it's in Leicester, which is weird. But which is actually incredibly handy for me because it's only 2 hours from here.
See, that's what I was wondering about, because it's not the big venue. I wondered, would the tickets be scarce, or what the interest levels would be like for it, because I've got very sort of mixed opinions about it. But I do want to just save that topic about that game for the second thing. So let me just get a take from Guy and Lisa Marie. And I'll finish with you, Guy, because you've had the most experience of being exposed to it. But Lisa Marie, last week when we spoke, I know you had caught bits. Did you see that most recent game, the one that ended in a 1-0 defeat? Did you catch any of that?
I did. It's rather like the others where I had it on here while I was working. So it was more listening than watching, but, kind of looked up if commentary, caught my attention enough to where it looked as though something interesting was about to happen. And then I did listen. Actually, I listened. Then I switched over and listened live on Discord when Guy was recording the post-match podcast as well, and may have thrown one or two comments in the chat as they were talking. So yeah, I did see it. It was
well. Rather than try to sum up a preseason game, which is mean, I don't want to ask you to do that. Well, I did ask you last week a very specific question. It was like, was there a takeaway from it? Because listening to the lads chatting on the pod, there might have been a shaky Joe Gomez moment. There was certainly a weird Adrian moment, and there were a couple of Darwin Núñez incidences to watch. Certain other things as well that took the attention of the lads. What was the takeaway for you from watching the match? There's probably at least one thing that stood out.
Well, first of all, it was nice to see James Milner lead out his, Boy Scout troop at the beginning of the match. And the first half, everybody looked a little bit disjointed, I think, if you will. But stepping back and looking at it, it isn't necessarily players that play together on a regular basis. Now, I don't know what they've been doing in, preseason training, but that makes sense. I know there was some, this pass or that pass didn't come off, but it was also who they were passing to is not the person that they're traditionally passing to. So, the anticipation and the runs and everything is, probably just not clicking the way that it should. I think the second half looked a lot better. When they changed everybody up, and we had, with the exception, I guess, of Adrian, basically what will likely be the starting 11 on Saturday. And it looked a lot better, but then it was just one of those things where we couldn't buy a goal, I don't think. I mean, there were some, pretty decent shots and everything, but just they weren't hitting the net that day.
Yeah, that to me is the takeaway. Was just the inability to rattle a few goals home, regardless of the makeup of the team, and especially considering there was a chunk when we did have so many of our top lads on, that stuck in the craw a little bit for me. That's my only vague concern about it. I understand preseason is preseason, but I would like us to be rattling goals in because of the changes in personnel in that department. And Guy, I mean, as the man who had to soldier through that in ways that the rest of us didn't, is there a takeaway from the preseason? All kind of waffly talk about you can't put too much weight on these things and it's only preseason. We know all that, but there must have been something or a couple of things that took your eye, or either in a good way or caused your eyebrow to raise, perhaps in a bad way. What if anything, are those?
My first takeaway is that Salzburg really wanted to win that game. It wanted to die for 3 points, even though there was no points on offer. I normally go into pre-season thinking the lads who know they're in the first team aren't asked. They're there to get fit, and they know as soon as Premier League comes around, they can try and all that crap then. Whereas you look at some of the lads, let's take midfield. I think midfield's probably the spot that's up for grabs most, especially at younger players. You've got Jones there, you've got Elliott there, Carvalho can probably play there as well, and I think the 4 first choice midfielders, the 3 that came on in the second half, and Naby, I think they'll feel safe as houses. I think Elliott's had a good pre-season, but he's mainly played as the right winger. Curtis Jones, again, you can't really judge development in pre-season, but Jones still looks like Curtis Jones. He takes too long to pass to the person, and when he does, it's the wrong pass and stuff like that. So I think maybe the lack of taking of an opportunity, but I mean, if you think back to lads who did take the opportunity, and Kevin Stewart pocketed Sergio Busquets in pre-season, Marko Grujic looked like the best midfielder in pre-season, so you can't really judge it off that. But I think if you've got lads who need to make a statement, I think these are the opportunity. Is it an opportunity, or it's just a stage to do something? It's weird, but I think some of the lads who people have doubts about, maybe not the coaching staff, but I think certainly fans have doubts about. You want to go out and impress when it's basically just a kickabout game. So, but I don't think anyone's really done that, especially in the Salzburg game, because that was dreadful. But the Leipzig game was fun.
You see, that's the thing, isn't it? It's all about really fan perception and individual desires and wants for games that we know are looked at very cynically by the management team, by the players themselves, as you so rightly said as well. And that's our segue really into looking at this game at the weekend. The significance of which, for me, is that we're playing Manchester City. And Lisa Marie and I spoke last week about this a little bit. And my take on it wasn't any sort of pessimistic, oh my God, I don't want to lose this title or any nonsense of that nature. But rather, I don't want any psychological edge whatsoever to go to Manchester City, which, given that we know, Guy, that Guardiola takes it seriously and does count it as a title, famously.
Quadruple.
Yeah, exactly. They will get a little buzz out of it if they manage to win or win convincingly or whatever, because we're not quite at the races yet. So that's where I am with it. It's a bit of a nuisance in many ways. What's your take on this? Again, Karl's already said earlier on he doesn't really give monkeys one way or the other. I don't either. At the end of the day, it's not going to affect my sleep, but I don't want any advantage going to them. Do you know where I'm going with that?
Yeah, Adrian's playing, so I think it's a pre-season friendly.
That's the way to look at it. Yeah.
But to be honest, I'd be just to annoy Pep mainly. I'd play the under-21s and then just play the first team against Strasbourg on Sunday.
Now, you see, I would love that.
I like the way you think, Drinkel. I like the way you think.
I would love that. I think that's fucking fantastic. That's a fantastic notion. Literally give them nothing by giving them nothing of our first team. I like that. To me would be the ultimate cynical move. I'd love if Kloppo did that, but I've got this feeling it's not going to be like that. I mean, Karl, there's a kind of evil genius in that idea, isn't there?
Yeah, but I can't see it happening at all. So I think he'd quite like the trophy because we've lost one Community Shield to them already on penalties, and it's I mean it's one of those things. You look at but is it the sort of the getting ahead by winning the game on penalties, or does it not mean a thing? I think it'll always mean a thing to them, but I think both managers will think it's a training session with a trophy at the end. But I think at the same time they think, well, it would be nice to win it. We've gone through a hell of a qualifier to get to this stage. So we did have to win a trophy to get here. And he likes trophies, and so does John Henderson. So I'd like us to win it, but I won't be going home devastated if we don't win it.
Would you start the team for Fulham against it, or would you keep people guessing?
Probably about. I think he's probably going to go about eight of who he can pick. I think, and whack in the. I was going to say whack in the Minamino, but we haven't got one. Just do the odd. To be honest, I'm not quite looking forward to seeing Haaland. Hope he plays. Because I never got to see him when we played against him. But I think it'll just be sort of 75% of the first team and get them ready for the actual proper game that's coming the week after.
Well, speaking of this particular game and the ones that are coming after, and with the opinion already raised by Guy there, Lisa Marie, that it'll probably be Adrian. There's stuff on the official website there, LFC. Or LiverpoolFootballClub.com, they have a little article about Alisson, and Kloppo was asked about his availability, and he says no, Alisson and Diogo, more of whom later, have no chance. Ali trained today more than the day before, so he'll definitely be available for Fulham, so group relief there, but not for this weekend, he says. And he goes on to say the same for Jota. Diogo's not here with us, so how could he play a football game? That will take a while, unfortunately. That's it. So it looks like a longer-term situation for Jota, where he probably won't be back involved for Fulham either. The Alisson thing has a heavy enough bearing on how seriously I can take the game. And I know exactly what Guy's saying when he says, Lisa Marie, if Adrian's starting, it's a friendly, as far as I'm concerned as well. And it does take a little bit of the pressure off, oddly enough. So now I can possibly relax and not wince if Haaland bombs one in from 30 yards against Adrian, because, who cares? That's my current take now. That's how my thoughts are evolving on it. Where are you with the whole Community Shield and its level of importance to you?
I would concur with that take there, Trev. I mean, I'm not going to be able to watch it. I'm out of town this weekend, so I'm not going to be at a place where I'm going to be able to watch it anyway. And I know you and I, as you alluded to, we talked about it a bit on our last podcast. And the more I've been kind of thinking about it, just, as it turns over in my brain, or I hear people, mentioning it coming up on Saturday, the less I kind of care about it. And I absolutely agree with Guy. If Adrian's in goal, then, whatever. Of course, we say that. I mean, let's just cross our fingers and hope that that isn't the case the following Saturday for the first game of the season. But yeah, it's another preseason match as far as I'm concerned. It's just a friendly with the trophy, just like they got over there, Thailand and Singapore.
Yes.
Man United got that lovely trophy that it looks like one of my kids put together in art class. And yeah, so that's kind of my thought.
Let me, for the benefit of our listeners who don't do a lot of reading around with interviews, because I did notice, and Karl, you'll be able to speak to this more than anybody, towards the end of my time writing regularly, I thought I really noticed a lot of drop off in the amount of people that were reading stuff, even on the official website or whatever. And just in case you didn't get these quotes from Kloppo, and, Kloppo, take it with a grain of salt, press conference warning in advance here on the Shield and whether it has any massive bearing. He says the situation is that it's a very important game, but the situation is that we still have to prepare a season, so we cannot ignore that. So we played last night against Salzburg. We lost 1-0. We trained the day before twice. So pretty intense. That's what we have to do. I cannot ignore the fact that after this important game is a season coming up. So we have to extend our preseason, if you want, into the season. We play on Saturday against City and we play on Sunday a preseason test game, whatever, against Strasbourg. Then we play Fulham, and the next day we play another game, just that we can extend our pre-season. That's what we have to do. So that's an interesting little thing already, that, much like we were saying, yourself and myself, Lisa Marie, last week, the quote Jan on it, like it takes a couple of games of the season to even get into any rhythm at all. So he's talking about another game immediately after Fulham, just to keep going with this sort of pre-season prep thing. So still more reasons, I have to say, and Guy, let me throw this one at you, still more reasons why we can't. It would be daft to be getting too head up about it. I think the attitude Karl has, because he's lucky enough to be able to go to it, just go and have a curious head on you watching Haaland and our new boys. And, that's probably the only way to take this, right?
Yeah, just treat it like soccer, really, basically. I think that's what
yeah. Some lad from Kasabian up front.
Calvin Harris comes up.
Serge bombing down the wing for the Reds.
Portly, Robbie Williams. Yeah, great.
But yeah, I think it's probably become more pre-season-y every year now, really. Well, I think Man City are in it every bloody year as well, which doesn't help. Makes it less interesting. I think we've had a couple against United, and it almost feels a bit more justified by rivalry. But when you see like Man City against Arsenal, it's like, I don't give a shit. But obviously it does this year, so I'll watch it. I'll have to pod about it. Hopefully it's an exciting game, because that Salzburg game was a tough one to talk about. But yeah, I think you go there just by sheer intrigue. I think people want to see Darwin Núñez in the flesh. Only our Asian fans and anyone from Austria and Germany. You've only been able to see him so far, but you want to see how he links with Mo, with Diaz and stuff like that, and you want to see Carvalho, because I think we saw Nunes up close and personal in the Champions League. Who watches the Championship really, apart from the 1 week before the Premier League? I think that's the only time I actually watch the Championship. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see the new lads. But yeah, there is an intrigue around Man City, because we all know it'll be us 1 and 2, and that's how it'll probably be. Because Chelsea, and Arsenal, United, and Spurs aren't going to make that jump either. So I think you're right. You gotta take it with intrigue and look at Man City and see Erling Haaland. Is he really this freak, or is it another case of Bundesliga tax, and hopefully Van Dijk basically just pockets him easy as anything? But it won't really mean anything if he scores a hat-trick against us in the league later in the year. So, but yeah, I think you go in it. Then Klopp and Guardiola will be overly friendly, and then in months that come, there'll be little snide comments between the both of them, as there usually is. But yeah, as I said, soccer aid for me.
Well, Karl, as a fella who's had a little bit of time to relax there recently, I don't know if that increased or decreased your social media interactions or what you've been watching, whether you were lounging and scrolling a lot or whatever. But if you were, you'll have seen something very interesting, because Guy touching it there that, we'll be looking forward to seeing Darwin Núñez. It seems to me that the vast majority of people who will be watching Darwin Núñez with great, great, great interest are non-Liverpool fans, because they're the ones who've been posting pathetic little videos from our training sessions where he doesn't hit the target and going lol. So this is it is actually for that reason again that I don't think this stuff affects the players really, unless it's put to Klopp in a press conference or they're very sensitive little flowers. But it has been really notable this week how much attention is on him, and how much of it is negative attention from people who don't even support Liverpool. It's very 2022, this, isn't it, Karl?
If we bought Mbappe and Haaland and played 4-4-2, people would be saying they've blown all that money. You can't really win on that. I mean, the fans who don't support Liverpool and have an active dislike Liverpool are never going to be fair to Liverpool in the same way I'm not going to be about Everton or United. So you can't really sort of take that. I will admit I was surprised when we bought him. I'll say that, given what I've seen. But when he played against us. But the point about him is it's not what he's done in the past. It's what he's going to do with this manager. That's the big thing for me. And if he's a bit ring rusty or whatever, or he's got issues with his game, then he's working with the best manager in the world who thinks he's got something, and that's good enough for me. I'm happy to do that. If he doesn't start till October, I'm in it for Fabinho way, then I'm happy with that as well. It's not about what he's doing in pre-season. It's a kickabout. It doesn't really matter. But guys just been saying someone's done a big massive ultra tweet. And as a writer, I shouldn't be saying I don't care what people think, but there's so much noise out there anyway that people aren't going to like him without seeing him anyway. So I can't really take that view seriously, to be honest.
Well, one thing we can say for certain is that he's a hell of a lad to pose with a fish. Fair play to him.
That is a hell of a picture. I have
yes.
seen that.
Yeah. It's one of the more bizarre pre-season things I've ever seen is him and Ali in their respective fish pictures. But this is the kind of thing that we do like to see at the start of the
show actually on completely inappropriate photos of footballers.
I think there's possibly more than a show in that.
Yeah.
When you think about it. And, the guy, again, just to try and segue the next topic that I wanted to get to in here, the guy that he's probably going to be vying with for a starting berth, our fish poser there, is Bobby Firmino. And there was a lot of talk, again, by excitable types on Twitter about Juventus and interest there. And again, just to quote Klopp, because it is kind of important, that when he was doing his pre-Community Shield presser, he said in Austria, Bobby is crucial for us. Bobby's the heart and soul of the team. The way we played in the last few years is only possible because of Bobby. That's why I'm really, really happy. You could train the majority of the time here in the preseason so far, and everything looks really good. I'm absolutely fine. And for me, there is no doubt about his quality. All the rest, we will see how this year goes. But yes, he's essential for us. Now, there's a few little ways that tangents that he takes there that I wish he hadn't. But what do you think, Karl? I mean, that does sound pretty convincing in terms of putting the rumours of a potential exit to bed, doesn't it?
I think he's staying, but he's also aware that he's in his 30s, so one more year and see what he can do. But, you know, I don't think he's... I'd be amazed if he goes just because Sadio's gone as well. I don't think he's going to take 2/3 of his lineup out. With Divock gone as well. You know, I know we've got the new lad in Carvalho who can fill in, and maybe Harvey can push up, I don't know, but I can't see him getting rid of Firmino. I don't know, but I do think he's going to get fewer minutes, which is really, really sad because he's a legend, a genuine football legend.
Yeah, and I Lisa Marie, I couldn't agree more with the things Klopp was saying there about how crucial he is and how crucial he has been. But that line at the end where he says, "Look, all the rest, we'll see how this year goes. But yes, he's essential for us." Like what that to me is saying, look, he's going to get one of these sort of reviews at the end of the year, and we'll decide whether we do a Jimmy Milner and a Jordan Henderson and offer him new terms. That seems to be pretty much what he's saying there, pretty explicitly as well, I would have thought.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that is what, you know, it's just evaluating, you know, what, as harsh as it can be, is what's best for the team. And, you know, if him continuing to stick around is, you know, is in our best interest, then that's great. But, you know, I mean, all of us a year or so ago were, you know, quite concerned about how the team was aging, you know, how many players we had, you know, in the upper 20s approaching, or, you know, even at 30. And, you know, we're seeing that refresh as we were all calling for. And, you know, unfortunately, part of that sometimes is letting, you know, wonderful players like Firmino, you know, move on and, you know, finish their career somewhere else. And I think a lot of it may depend on how much he's wanting to play. You know, if he's content like Milner, you know, to just be a, you know, a squad player that comes in and, you know, for 10 minutes and kicks somebody up in the air, as we often say. Not that Bobby does that, but, you know, Millie. Or, you know, if he's wanting to play on a more regular basis, more minutes, then it very well might be time for him to move on.
Now, I noticed the title of the last Raw invoked Jimmy Milner's preseason beard, which to be fair has the goal of what lads used to call a depression beard for me. But Lisa Marie, you told me, we were talking, was it yesterday, about the origin of it and where it's come from. And apparently a couple of our players have had a sort of an influence in the sprouting of said whiskers. What's the actual story there? Because I never got around to seeing that thing. I
think, and I'm kind of going off of memory here, but yeah, and Milner said this himself. I think he was doing, you know, one of those preseason interviews, and they asked him, you know, hey, you know, what's with the beard? And I guess Hendo and Romo were, you know, giving him stick in the training room one day, and he was like, all right, sure, fine, I'll grow a beard. So Henderson and Robertson are apparently responsible for the Milner beard.
Both of them have experimented with beards, actually. Hendo much more so, but I don't know, guy. Like, I mean,
he's taking the Nivea money.
He has. Yeah, he's taking there's going to be a big shaving scene very soon, I think, featuring Jimmy Milner's granite jaw, and it'll be glorious to behold because it just doesn't look right.
It's really sad that he's got into the hands of big beard oil.
I just think
Yorkshire tea branded beard oil.
Yeah. First, it'll be subliminal messages at half time now.
It makes him look even more Sergeant Millie, you know what I mean? He just has that, like I say, square-jawed, World War II hero to bring things full circle here. I go back to our opening, and the stubble on it. Just I don't know. I don't see it being a feature. It unsettles me, as I think Lisa Marie said last week. I don't. It does unsettle me. I'm not happy with it. In terms of segueing out to the end of the show, I want to just throw it open there. Is there anything that anybody wants to talk about that is Liverpool related that I haven't flagged up? I just tried to get around some of the bigger stories and some of the things that are actually happening, some of the quotes that are coming out. But is there anything that anybody's seen that they want to throw on the table? We'll just literally give it 5 seconds, and if nobody jumps in, we'll move.
Women's football's good.
Not Liverpool related. Not Liverpool related. Let's go there, though. There's a big lot of talk about it. Obviously, I don't watch football until the season starts. That is well known. I don't know what's going on, but I've seen nothing but reports, and I've seen Ian Wright talking effusively about girls getting a chance to do football and PE and all that kind of thing. I suppose I didn't really understand what sort of difficulties maybe that certain young girls faced in trying to get to play football. I didn't understand that was a thing. But Karl, you bring it up. What's been your take on it? Because again, like, we should address it here. You know, if it was England playing at the end of your garden, you mightn't even look at it, the men's team. And yet, you know, this is an England team we're talking about, right? Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Sweet Caroline apart. It's everything that's good about football. It's the crowds are fine. They're not singing songs about other countries. There's none of the national anthem. I don't care if you like that. I don't. And there is just people enjoying football, including kids, including young girls, which is great to see as well, because, you know, they are the next step in the women's game. And the France Germany goal, it's great goals, just genuinely brilliant. That first German goal last night was phenomenal. Where she got across and got her angle in, and I think it might be a little bit overhyped, but it bloody deserves to be after the way it's been torn down by people like Alan Sugar, and he's a prick, that man.
That's the highlight of the tournament, to be fair, is Ian Wright burning him on a tweet.
Telling him he needs to hug. He needs a hug, yeah. And calling him bro. I don't know if anyone missed this, Alan Sugar basically took to Twitter and said, oh look, it's all women only on the pundit panel, blah blah blah, and then you know, this wouldn't happen, you know, wow, that's not very, you know, fair and what have you. And then Ian Wright came in for the England-Norway game. I didn't see any of this, by the way, but and said, oh, because I said this tweet that that Ian Wright's suddenly involved. That's what Ian Wright said. I was booked a year ago. Do you think they just bring me in on the Friday and say we haven't got a pundit in? It's done so far in advance. I was always doing this game because I love watching football and he loves England. And then he just sort of dissolved into, Alan, you need a hug, mate. You know, don't double down on this stuff. Come on, there's room for football for everyone here.
Can I say?
And he had another go yesterday as well, saying, like, you know, if there's no, his point was, I thought was very interesting. There's no point, there's no legacy after the Olympics in 2012. We did it, nothing happened. None of that spirit was worked on whatsoever, which I completely agree with. And he said, you know, and we can't fall into that thing here because this has been, the crowds have been great for it. It's been played in a brilliant spirit. I wouldn't say I was massively excited by it because it's England, but I watched it. I'm glad England won because they just seem like, you know, nice people.
It is nice supporting England for once, though, because it's probably similar for you, Karl. I supported Italy last tournament because I like the national anthem. That's about it.
And kits. Yeah, I was a bit disappointed at Sweden because Sweden have got one of the greatest kits ever and always have had a good kit, which is a big deal with me. I think there's an element of do I only support them because I'm against the people who would hate it? That's one part of it. But the most interesting thing for me was, because I don't know anything about the players. I do now, obviously, because I've watched a few games. But was trying to work out whether I like that player and was going onto Wikipedia to see who they played for to see if I dislike them.
Yeah. it's nice to see that at the end of the day, all the high-minded talk gives way to tribalism. I do love.
Who to play for? Oh, you can.
Yeah, exactly. You can fuck up. But I do actually want to double down on this thing, and I'd like to thank you for not using the title given or bought or whatever, purchased or whatever.
Oh, they should have titles. I've always said that.
Yeah, you know how I feel about all that sort of nonsense. And Alan Sugar, it should be remembered, not that many years ago, tweeted a Photoshop picture of the Senegal team standing in front of a load of shades and other items. And he says, I recognize some of these guys from the beach in Marbella, multitasking, resourceful chaps. And I'm sorry, but I don't care that you're of a certain age or background or whatever. That is tone deaf at best and racist at worst. And that's the type of person. He doesn't, you got to acknowledge what he is and what you're dealing with there. And the fact that he has a platform and all is kind of sad.
What I do like, though, Trev, is every now and then he'll say, what's the Tottenham score? Rather than look it up himself. And Richard Herring, the comedian, always replies and tells him the score like days after the event, and he does it regularly.
Well, with that, let's think about winding this down. Can
I ask Lisa Marie a question?
Oh, yeah.
I run my own podcast, Trev, and it's very successful. What is there any sort of traction for the women's the game for women in America?
Oh, absolutely.
There's me just throwing away my entire presenting skills because I couldn't get that sentence out. There we go. Trev, ask her that question.
Yeah, tough shit, Karl. Tough shit. To be fair, Lisa Marie, before you go off on one here, because I know you've plenty to say on it. Like, I actually know maybe 10 US women's footballers over the last couple of years, because it's huge there, right? It's massive.
I was going to say, I was wondering if it's more sort of what part of the country.
But I believe, Lisa Marie, that there's been a lot of talk led by the captain of the most recent really successful team about pay equality. Is that right? That's a huge issue at the moment.
Yes. Now, I'm not going to be able to speak to any specifics on that. But all right, first of all, yes, the U.S. women's soccer team is more popular than the men's team. Just because the game, I think, well, they've been, of course, hugely successful. That always helps tremendously. And the sport is, I want to say it has a little less competition for athletes than, the traditional male sports. I mean, boys grow up playing, baseball and basketball and American football and, or soccer. And so it just doesn't have as much of a grassroots, in place, more so now, but it didn't traditionally. Whereas, when I was growing up, soccer was, girls played soccer, they played basketball, or they played softball. And, that was kind of it. Now, of course, I don't know if you've heard of, there was Title IX that was passed in the U.S., and it actually celebrated its 50th anniversary about a month or so ago, which gave some equality as far as funding and things were concerned for women's sports versus men's sports. So that's helped tremendously, on this end, to allow the women's teams, especially, on the university levels and things, to get more funding than they probably would have otherwise. But the women's teams games are traditionally better attended than the men's teams, or were until recently. I can't speak for that now. And I've actually, the women's team, U.S. team played the England team here in Nashville a couple of years ago, and we went and saw the match. So
I've always
and then as far as the pay thing, yes, they have been fighting for their, the pay, and they have a point that, they were the successful team. They're winning World Cups, they're winning Olympic gold medals, et cetera, and they were being paid far less than the U.S. men's team, was being paid. And they have now, I believe, won that lawsuit for that pay to be more equalized. I don't know if this could be completely equal, but it's going to be on a more even keel, or supposed to be going forward. So we'll have to see how that kind of pans out.
Yeah, I saw a couple of interviews with Megan Rapinoe about that, who's been kind of leading the charge there, as you might expect. So fair play to her for that. And as we sort of draw this to a conclusion, and we're going to finish with Karl's tale about his holidays. Guy, you haven't been on this for a while, and myself and Cam talked about our best holidays last week, or the last week we did together, and then Lisa Marie and I had a little bit of a chat about similar stuff last week as well, a bit of tourism talk. I was trying to get the inside track in Tennessee, and it made me think that it would be only fair to ask you off the top of your head now, without any preparation time. I put a false end of show question in there. Without any preparation time, what do you reckon is the best holiday you've been on, and why?
Ooh, I've not been on holiday in a long while, to be fair, Trev. I've been to Spain when I was a kid, but my favourite one, I'm not sure if this is like standardised across the UK in terms of potential school trips, but we did the Battlefield school trip. So we went to Ypres. So yeah, Belgium's really nice, so I quite enjoyed that. But as I said, with my film choices, history buff. So yeah, Ypres was quite nice little town. Well, nice little town near Ypres, I should say. But yeah, Belgium was nice. France was quite nice. Big ass cemeteries were, well, when you were in year 10, I think we were, you don't really understand the what it actually means. But yeah, thinking back now, holy shit. But yeah, the Battlefields tour was quite nice, considering I was quite young and it was just my mates basically, and obviously other students. But yeah, I think I'd probably pick that one.
Did you see any werewolves?
No, I think
that was the wrong war, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, primarily.
As often as I hear you all do it, it just astonishes me that you talk about going to different countries the way I talk about going to different states.
Yeah.
So, we were in Belgium, then we were in France. It'd be like me going, all right, well, yeah, I went to Kentucky, and then I went to Mississippi, and then, yeah. By the way, I have been to 42 of the 50 states, just saying.
That is impressive, but also comparable distances as well. Like, I mean, I went to Belgium a couple of years ago. Went to Ghent and Bruges, and like I don't think it was even an hour and a half on the plane. So it's doable.
It is. I mean, yeah, it's just
I go to Mexico next year, and 12 hours on a plane is going to fry my mind, I think.
Yeah.
Holy shit! Oh, that is a place I'd love to visit, man. What's the attraction of Mexico for you, or is there a specific event you're going to?
My mate's wedding.
Your mate's? I thought that. Yeah. When you say Mexico, do you mean like Cancun or somewhere?
Yes, so it's all inclusive. At the airport's Cancun.
Oh,
but
one of the
yeah.
Don't set foot off the resort.
How else are you meant to experience Mexico? I think there's like one of the 7 Wonders of the World tour thing you can go on, so that should be fun. And swimming with turtles. So yeah.
Delightful. Karl, of course, this all is just a preamble to whatever the hell you were building up towards at the start of the show there. So you've recently been on your holidays as well. What was the destination for folks who don't follow you on the socials?
I've been to Madeira in the Atlantic, an hour's flight from Lisbon. I'd like to use this platform, abuse this platform to say these words: "Fuck EasyJet, you prick." Jesus Christ, there's ways to run a company, and then there's you. But I absolutely loved it. I've only been to Portugal once, and it's and I loved it, and I love Lisbon anyway. But Madeira was just gorgeous, really, really nice place. And like sort of Lanzarote in Gran Canaria, it's a volcanic rock, and the sand is imported from Morocco, and it's closer to Morocco than it is to Europe, which was nice. Little bit warm, Trev, to be honest.
Yeah. And, how do you cope with that type of thing, Karl? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I spent at least one day with a wet towel on my head, and yet still managed to swim outside every day. Because what you want to do there is swimming in the sea every day if you're suffering from heat exhaustion. But the highlight was we went to Funchal for the day. There is a statue, like a bust of Ronaldo at the airport when you wait for your cab, which is funny. And then you go and see the real thing next to the CR7 museum and hotel unit.
Whoa, hang on, back that up. There's a what?
He's from there. That's where he's from.
Yeah, but what? There's a hotel.
There's a hotel, the CR7 hotel. Yeah.
He's copying Gary Neville, his hero.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's like the Joseph Enrique Hostelin speak.
Oh yes.
It's very similar.
Hang on.
Remember when all our Spanish players got locked in Jose Enrique's basement for half a season?
I won't have a bad word said about Jose Enrique.
Manquillo disappeared for a year.
He did, yeah.
But he's a legend of a lad. I have to say, I really love the stuff that he puts on social media. And will there ever be a better? I can only assume it was
right back. Yes.
No. But will there ever be a better picture posted online than him and his girlfriend standing naked as he was photographing the view out his hotel window and the reflection was barely visible? I mean, Jose, what a lad. Fair play to him. So hang on, so you go past the hotel, the Ronaldo Hotel, past the Cultural Heritage Centre, and then what was next?
I went to we took a day trip, a 3-hour trip out on a catamaran where you sit on the netting at the front, which is above the water, and then we got out and had a swim with some. Well, actually not at the same time. Some dolphins joined us, as in leaping out of the water and all that. And then just before you come back in into port, they sort of just put one of the ladders down. You can go and swim in the green, azure green waters of the Atlantic. And I thought, at this point, I am not thinking what day 3.7643 LSC, our boss, says on Twitter about Darwin Núñez.
Yeah, that's when you've totally switched off.
Yeah. I was thinking, is that a real thing in my life? Apparently it is.
Yeah.
But,
to be fair, that's a hell of a prompt as well. If you got something as naturally gorgeous as that, that'll do it in terms of distracting you, I have to say. So sadly still no holiday for me, but I can't complain too much, seeing as I'm on holidays in a way that most people aren't. So we should start wrapping it up. Is there anything that anybody wants to throw in or plug before we go that you had prepared? Because if not, we can start the...
Just one very quick thing. I can say something up in one sentence, but it may require more than that. Our website, Some Green Grass in a Ball. If you've got 5 minutes to spare, please read Stephen Scragg's piece on why Thomas the Tank Engine was a gobshite. It is football related. It's just glorious, every single word of it.
Just tremendous stuff, and it's my intention to retweet it and spread it widely over the next couple of days. Tremendous work by Scraggy. Just get yourself over to the website anyway, because there's such a great collection of writing on there about assorted football and non-Liverpool topics.
All non-Liverpool.
I do heartily recommend it. I have to say, I'll be doing the second of 2 great stories tonight, starting it tonight. It'll be with you tomorrow. It's going to be a H.P. Lovecraft horror tale called Dagon. So do keep an eye out for that if that tickles your fancy. Lisa Marie, anything to wrap up with, or are you happy enough?
I'm happy enough. 4 years ago today, I was at the University of Michigan watching Liverpool play Manchester United, and that's when I fell in love, absolutely and completely, with this football.
Oh, nice. I absolutely love that. That's perfect timing. And Guy, what about yourself, man? Anything you want to throw out there in terms of a finish up?
I kind of wish it came to me after the wholesome thing by Lisa Marie. I was just going to ask. I wasn't going to plug anything, but then I was going to ask, I had fish and chips for tea, and I wanted to know, are you curry sauce people?
Yeah.
Oh, God, yes.
Yes. Men of culture.
Absolutely. Lisa Marie, I noticed you didn't answer there.
Well, because I don't know what that is.
Oh, wow.
I'd be willing to try it. I mean, I have had fish and chips, but.
So hang on, if I said the phrase to you, curry chips, you just don't know what that is.
Now, all right, chips are what we call fries, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly,
All right.
yeah.
So that I do know. But yeah, as far as to be able to absolutely understand from a flavor standpoint or a seasoning standpoint, no.
Yeah, I think you might be going a bit too highbrow here. You're basically talking about
this is slop in a polystyrene box.
Exactly. It's usually a tinfoil box, a rectangular shape, some thick cut chipper chips, and then slopped curry sauce over the top. It looks foul. It tastes magical.
Okay.
And it's another one for your list.
Trev's helping me put together a list.
Yeah, chicken fillet roll and curry chips. I think that's a triumph, Guy. I'm glad you went there at the end. Thanks, man. So we will wrap it up. Thanks to Guy, thanks to Lisa Marie, and thanks to Karl. I've been Trev Downey. This has been the Anfield Podcast Index, which is a completely different thing. And it was episode 333. We'll see you next week. So it was. We'll speak to you next week.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at anfieldindex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.